Pinecrest families. This is Principal Jami Curtis, and I am joined with our parent liaison and student behavior support specialist, Carol Davis. And we are here to talk to you and provide a little bit of more information regarding some changes to opening. Governor Sisolak issued a directive yesterday, 028, and Directive 028 does have some information that pertains to Pinecrest Academy and our students. So we wanted to share that information with you and help provide some tips for our students and how to navigate these additional measures as the school year comes to a start in just a few weeks. So this 028 directive requires that all students who come to school in all grades K through 12 must wear a face mask. So Carol's going to talk to us a little bit about how we can make that more feasible for our students and how we will be partnering with you to help ease that transition. The other piece of that directive is that there was a change in distancing, and the governor reduced the requirements from 6 feet to 3 feet. And we've had a lot of questions about whether or not that impacts our opening plan. And as of this time, we are not changing our opening plan. We've put a lot of thought and consideration into the safety of our students and our school, our space, the way that we can use it, how we can still access our students and make sure our students have access to their special classes. So as of now, our opening plan remains the same. We have our hybrid model, and we've talked much about that in a previous video. So just an update. So Carol, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're very thoughtful in your approaches to helping our students, and we're very grateful for you to share some tricks, not just in wearing masks and how to make that more feasible for our students, but also just generally how our students can be more independent and how we can foster their independence as we prepare them to start school in just a few weeks.
Absolutely. I'm going to start out with that hot topic of masks. I know that in an ideal world or any other year, we wouldn't have to deal with this, but this is the directive given. And as a parent myself of a student coming to Pinecrest, I would rather them express themselves and let everybody see his little face. But we're going to talk today about face masks and how we can set our students up for success. So I'm just going to flip my screen around as I move across here. So the first thing is that when you're selecting a face mask, try to make sure we have our students in being involved in that process. We have some different fabrics, different textures, different designs. This one's a little bit softer. These are homemade masks. Of course, as we discuss these masks, do know that it is a face mask covering. The directive does not explicitly state it has to be a medical mask. It does not say it has to be an N95. It does not say home masks only. So I want to say that at the beginning. But when we are choosing, if you are choosing homemade masks, this one's a little softer. And then these ones are the cotton regular ones that we've seen a lot of people wearing. You can buy in different stores. The first thing I want to talk about is fit. The most important thing, especially when we look at our little guys, this directive does mean that our students K through 12 must wear a mask. So before we were 10 and above, we now are including our kindergarten class. So when we're looking at it, we need to make sure it's fitted snugly to the face. That doesn't mean that we don't want them to breathe and they're not going to be able to express themselves verbally, but if it's hanging or it's loose, it'll be more difficult for them to keep their hands away from their face. There's different things we can look at when we are trying to fit a mask. I find these little toggles on Amazon, and they are like 100 for like $6. So you could group together and get these little things. This allows you to adjust that ear strap for your child, making that a better fit to their face. When we are on campus, obviously, it is going to be hard. We can't expect our students to just turn up on campus and all of a sudden be expected to wear that mask for 8 hours of a working day or a school day. So we do ask that you prepare a student and try to integrate that at home. In one of my last videos, I did have my little celebration board. We are celebrating how much time that my son is wearing his mask. So we played a game last night. We wore it for 30 minutes. Today, we done an activity with puzzles and we wore our mask for 45 minutes. So what I'm trying to do is build up a tolerance. And then I'm going to be able to see as a parent where he struggles. Is he pulling at his face? Is it too loose around the nose? Is he pulling it down to breathe? And we're just talking about those things as we get used to that mask and talk about why it's important as we move forward. There are other things if you're not purchasing a mask and you want to try to make one yourself, you can buy the little filters individually. You don't need to be able to sew a mask. I have seen people use templates where they cut it. They slide in their little filter to create multiple layers, and then they put a layer on top, and I've seen them iron it to adhese it. I've seen people use fabric glue, so you have multiple options. If you haven't found a mask that fits and you're struggling and you're not choosing the toggle option, you can use bands across the back. So this one I could cut. I could place a button on either end, and instead of that being around their little ears, that we're able to have some fun making some decorations. Girls, we can use hair ties, anything, just make it creative so that it's more comfortable for them as they're wearing it. Now, as a parent, one of the first things I thought about was when they're eating and they're having their lunchtime, well, okay, so where's the mask going to go? So a few different things. I've attached my work mask here to a lanyard, so it's around my neck. I've got some shoestrings here so I can attach it around my son. I have already ordered glass cords that usually slide onto glasses so that I can attach it as well. So if they're taking it off their face and they're enjoying their lunch, they're not worried about that mask falling to the ground. We don't have to keep up with that, and they can just pull that right up over their face after they're eating. As a parent, I'm also sending some wipes in a lunchbox so my son can clean his face before he puts his mask on. I've also bought multiple masks. So the good thing about having multiple masks is they get to express their personalities. My son loves construction, so this was a big fan favorite of his. Red is his favorite color, so he wants to express that. My husband, his father, used to be in the military, and he calls himself a little army guy. So we do want your students to have, or your children and our students to have fun and express themselves. And it's a great conversation piece as they come on campus and they're using their masks. Again, fit and make sure that we're getting used to wearing our masks at home and we're stretching that time so that they're prepared and ready to come into campus. And as we move away from masks, I do want to talk about independence with our students. We do know that we are moving from 6 foot and we're going to 3 foot, but I also want to talk about, we are really ready and willing to help our students in every way possible. However, the more independent your child is when they reach campus, it means the less contact we have with one another, and we again are trying to keep that safe distance and keep that touching down to a minimum. So I'm going to start off by, actually I'll shift over here and talk about our school uniforms. Independent start again, can your student pull their shorts on and off? Are they able to unbutton or unsnap or slide those little clasps in as they go to the restroom? When they go to the restroom, again, I have an up-and-coming kindergartner. I need to remind my son to close that bathroom door as he is taking care of his personal self in that space. So we're not having to go across and pull that door back and forward. Can he pull his shorts up and down? And when we move across to shoes, again, teachers say all the time that they have to tie so many little shoelaces when our students come onto campus. So what we want to do is, again, try to have them be as independent as possible. If they are not able to tie shoelaces and you only have a shoe with laces, you can choose to invert and tie at the back so that they're not going to fly around the front of that shoe. Again, you want to make sure that they're comfortable. You can cut and shorten them if this is what you're choosing for the laces. Obviously, you can choose Velcro straps, or we can go for that little slide-on shoe, again, for comfort. And again, just practice all these things. My son's been practicing putting on his jacket. There are some really cool ways to do that. We put it on the floor with the inside facing up and the hood of the jacket facing him, and he flips it up and over him like a superhero. So we're practicing these things so he doesn't need help. I'm going to move across to our lunch bags and our lunch or our school bags. Can they open and zip all those multiple little pockets? Can they open their lunch box? Can they unclasp their lunch box? When it comes to looking at what they're bringing their drinks in, are they able to press and open themselves? If you're sending a juice box, can they take care of that? Can they pierce that themselves? Again, any other year, our staff are so used to doing this, guys, but I really want to try and make sure we keep our kiddos and our staff safe. So if you are choosing to do something like this, maybe we practice again. Can I take the straw off? If this is something that they can't master and you do have a bottle that is easier, again, think of that. As we move to our lunchbox and we're providing our little snacks and our treats for our students, I really want you to think again of the packaging. Can they open these things on their own? When it comes to yogurt, those yogurt long strip pouches are very difficult for students to open. You do have other options where they can unscrew. Again, if you're choosing things like this, practice, practice, practice. If they have difficulty and you've chosen yogurts like this and they can't get that open, find a little container that maybe you could take it across and they can flip over and they can still have that treat. If you do have little containers, can they unscrew and open? Something that we don't think of sometimes is when we're sending fruit with our students, and we love fruit in our house, but that is a very messy thing for our teachers to get their fingers into for our students. And I want to make sure that our students can be able to enjoy their fruit. I personally would segment it and I would put it in another container so my student can access that if they're not able to open that. And what I don't want is a student to come onto campus because we've prepared them right to stay safe and take care of things. And oh, maybe I don't want someone else touching their food. Well, if they come in with this, that could cause a behavioral issue or could cause a little moment of sadness for a student who is conflicted between, well, my mom told me not to have anybody touch my things, but I can't eat my orange, so I need help. So little things like that. I have thrown in some lunch notes. This is hard. Our students are coming to campus in this hybrid model. This is so new. So I am going to send little notes to my kiddo to let him know he's doing great and that I'm right there with him and that he can do anything. So this is just a nice little personal touch, not really about independence, but I thought I'd throw it out there as an idea if people were interested. If for some reason, my student, let's just say I've tried to be as prepared as possible for my student and I tied shoelaces around his mask and I want to keep it clean. In case, again, we are all prepared for everything, in case it fell to the floor, I'm sending a secondary mask that will be in a Ziploc bag in his backpack. If something like that happens, I don't want you to think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? My son has not got a mask, he's not protected. We will have masks on site specifically for children. They will have a mask available to make sure that we're keeping them safe. We wouldn't put them in a situation to where that they weren't going to be able to wear their mask and stay safe. When we prepare students, a lot of times we prepare for the beginning of the year and I'm going over first day of school with my student, with my son. But I'm going to talk about what it's going to look like and why it's going to be different. So when they get to campus, we are going to prepare them in many regards for everything they're going to see, but we are going to have some resources for you as parents, and some of this stuff will be uploaded so you can help your student. This one is just talking about preparing our students for seeing staff and people around the building wearing masks. We're also going to talk about looking at eyes and being able to express themselves and maybe trying to talk verbally if they've got any questions rather than wondering what a person's meaning, because it is hard when we can't see faces. We will be providing that in English and Spanish. We also will be discussing COVID and how it makes people feel, and again, social distancing is going to be the trick. This is the hard one for our kids, but it's really important that we talk about what that looks like, ways that looks like, oh, this distance, we're looking at distance. Now, we did talk about that distance being reduced, but we still want to make sure that we can celebrate in the classroom, we can give air high fives, we can give air hugs, we can still communicate and do all these things. But the purpose of the video is just to prepare our students in advance that this transition back is going to be different this year and that we are there to help them prepare them as they step on campus. And again, it's just so that we can maintain that 6 feet between our staff and our students, and just try to help our little guys be as independent as possible. And when I talk about little guys, I am obviously referencing my little kindergartner, but we could make sure that our students across the board are able to take care of these things when they get on campus.
Absolutely. Carol, thank you so much for sharing all of this. If parents have some questions or had wanted to know where you purchased some of those things, where will that be available? Can we attach that in the email or
We
in the
can
post?
indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll attach information on where I find things. I also want to open up to some of our parents, because obviously this is me processing this as a parent, but I know there's other parents out there have been planning and expecting and getting their children ready. So if you have an idea that is not covered in this video, please share it, because our parents would love to hear that and love to see different ideas. We always talk about so many minds being better than one. Please do add that. I will drop below where I got some of these things. And I'll even provide some pictures, especially for the little toggles. For me, this was the killer, because it's hard to get a fitted perfect mask for our kids, right? Because we've got so many different shapes and faces. And when they're purchased, they're not measured to fit. And some of the ones I've made from home, I've used pipe cleaners across the nose bridge. Don't look too closely at the stitching, but it's still a face mask and it's still functional. It still has multiple layers to protect my family, but there's just a lot of different tips and ideas to help. But that little toggle, that's the key for me. That's the fit. The better it fits, the less fidgeting that's going to happen. Our teachers were coming up with great ideas to help our students navigate this in the classroom and come up with those things. But yeah, prep your students, practice at home so that they are prepared and ready.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We are so fortunate to have you on staff and helping us navigate all of these things. And we want to thank you, our families, for your patience in working through all of these different aspects of opening. And we know that this is not going to be, it's going to be a different year, as Carol said. And we just want you to know that we're all in it together. And we're here to help with ideas and support as much as our families will need. So that's all I have. Carol, do you want to add anything else?
No, we're just here for you guys, and we can't wait to see our students, and we can't wait to help. We can't wait to see what we can achieve together as a community.